In this video, we're going to look to see how to make an orthographic drawing of an object. An orthographic drawing is a drawing that shows the same object from multiple points of view. So for this drawing, we're looking at the bottom left corner or quadrant is going to be the front view. Normally, always the bottom left is going to be the front view, the view that shows the most detail of that object. The bottom right quadrant will be usually the right-hand view, and then the top left quadrant is going to be the top view of the object, and finally the top right quadrant is usually an isometric view of the object being shown in these other drawings. So using the cube that we had drawn with the smaller cube on top, we're going to make an orthographic drawing of that object. So we're going to start with the front view first. I like starting with the front view because then it gives me a reference point to make my other drawings off of. So this cube, the larger cube was 6 cubes wide. So I'm not going to draw right on the edge. I'm going to draw sort of in the center, give myself some space. It's 6 cubes tall. And then we had a smaller cube that was 2 tall and 2 wide. So looking at the object from the very front, square from the front, this is what it would look like. If we would draw the object looking at it from the top, what I'd like to do first is I'm going to extend any of these vertical lines on my paper up to this top view quadrant. So to do that, any lines going up and down, I'm simply going to lightly sketch in a construction line to help me draw those features. So I lightly sketch those in because I don't want those showing up too much on my top view drawing. Those are just there to help me. So this cube from the top is also going to be 6 wide because these lines tell me how wide it should be when I rotate it looking at it from above. So those are my limits, those are my extents. This is as wide as that object was here, and it's as wide as it should be up in this drawing. So this cube was 6 deep. So I'm going to draw along those lines, go up 6 rectangles, and then I go across 6 because I know that's a cube shape. That smaller cube was sitting in the back left corner right here. So I'm going to make it 2 deep and 2 wide. So this would be the smaller cube sitting on top of the larger cube. In this view, we can't tell. The front view, we can't tell. But when we put the two together, we can tell that it's sitting in that back left corner and that it's on top. So this says it's on top. This says it's in the back left corner. Now for the right view, I'm going to use construction lines, and I'm going to sketch over any of the horizontal lines. So I lightly draw those in. You can barely see them. So now looking at the object from the right side, I'm looking at it from this direction here and this direction here. So if I were to see this object, I would know based on what I did before that it's going to be 6 tall, because these two lines tell me that. Since I extended them from here, all I'm doing is rotating the object, and I know it's going to be 6 deep. So left and right in this drawing is going to be deep. So 6 tall, 6 deep. So this would be the front if we were looking at it from this direction. This would be the top, the back side, and the bottom. So now when we view our cube from the right side, since this is the front of the object and this is the back, we would have the cube, the smaller cube, in the back, because this line here is the back side of our bigger cube. We would draw our smaller cube, a 2 by 2, 2 deep, 2 tall, right here. So then that tells us that information for our right side view. And then in this top quadrant, this top right quadrant, we would draw our cube with a smaller cube on the top. Now, since this does not show the same graph as the other one with diagonal lines, we would actually need to imagine that they were there. And the way I do that is I will actually draw that front face of the cube, and I'm not going to draw it right in the center. I'm going to draw it off to the left a little bit. And then, because I don't have those diagonal lines, what I'd actually want to do is here in this top left corner, I'd actually want to draw from this corner to halfway up on one of these blocks, one of these rectangles. And that is going to be a 30-degree angle. And so I'm going to go draw then from halfway to a full rectangle up, and I'm going to draw one more. And so I'm actually only going to draw half of the distance going back. So I drew 1, 2, 3 line segments, because if I would go a full 6, this would actually look like stretched out. It would not be correct. So these diagonals, I'll take half of whatever it should have been, and I will use that as my reference. So again, here I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3, and connect those together. And then I'm going to put my other cube back here in the back. So I'm starting right here in the center, and I'm going over 1, 2, and a half, and then going up half. And I connect everything together. I'm just going to erase some of these lines so I don't see the other lines I had drawn. So I can accurately show that object from an isometric